Hi students, today we are going to continue with the next subtopic of 4.4, which is on agriculture and forestry sector. Okay, by the end of this topic, students should be able to explain socio-scientific issues in the agriculture and forestry sector. Then, justify the application of green technology to overcome socio-scientific issues in the agriculture and forestry sector. Bidang pertanian dan perhutanan ya. Okay, there are four main issues in the socio-scientific issues in forestry and agriculture. Okay, the first one is deforestation. Okay, deforestation mean penyahutanan, penebangan hutan lah. Okay, so normally the deforestation happens because to make the forest as agriculture and placement. Kita nak tebang pokok-pokok dekat hutan sebab apa? Nak jadikan kawasan pertanian dan juga kawasan untuk manusia tinggal. Okay, so what are the effect? It causes natural disasters such as landslide, soil erosion and flood. So, dia menyebabkan berlakunya tanah runtuh, hakisan tanah dan juga banjir. Okay, banjir kilat lah. Okay, the second one is open burning, pembakaran terbuka. So, normally the open burning is carried out by the farmers. Biasanya dijalankan oleh petani. Kalau you ada dekat kawasan sawah padi, you boleh tengok selepas habis musim menuai, maksudnya bila dia dah ambil padi tu, dia akan bakar kan dia punya jerami. Okay, so open burning ni will cause haze and air pollution. Akan menyebabkan berlakunya jerebu dan pencemaran udara. Okay, the third issue is forest exploration. Apa maksudnya? Dia masuk ke dalam hutan untuk menjajah hutan lah, macam eksplorasi hutan. Okay, increases the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and it can causes greenhouse effect which eventually leads to global warming. Biasanya masa berlakunya forest exploration ni juga dia akan tebang lah hutan tu sebab dia nak masuk, nak tengok apa ada dalam hutan tu. Okay, next. The last one, the fourth main issue is usage of pesticides and chemical fertilizers in the agriculture. Penggunaan racun serangga dan juga baju kimia dalam pertanian. Okay, normally the chemical fertilizer is used on crops. Okay, it will pollute the land and increases the acidity of the land. So biasanya baju kimia ni digunakan ke atas pokok lah untuk menyuburkan pokok tu kan. Namun begitu, penggunaan baja kimia yang berlebihan dia akan mencemarkan tanah dan meningkatkan asid dalam tanah. Okay, so what's happened also is eutrophication might occur which pollute the water and causing the death of aquatic organisms. So mungkin akan berlaku suatu proses yang dipanggil sebagai eutrofikasi. Okay, ini akan mencemarkan air dan juga menyebabkan kematian organisma akuatik. Okay, so sekarang teacher nak you tengok video ni.
Plants require several things to grow. Most of us know that they need things like water, sunlight, and CO2, but plants also need a variety of nutrients as well, things like nitrogen and phosphorus. Usually, plants will get all the required nutrients from the soil through their roots, but when the soil is bad or there's been a lot of erosion or leaching, farmers or even just people trying to make their lawns green will put down something called fertilizer. What makes fertilizer so fertile is that it's been enriched with these nutrients that the plants need, again mostly fixed nitrogen and phosphorus. But plants aren't the best at soaking up every last nutrient in the soil, and it's also hard to gauge just how much fertilizer a field needs, as soil quality can vary drastically over short distances. To be safe, farmers will usually apply excess fertilizer to a given plot of land. Better safe than sorry, you know? But instead of staying in the soil for years, most of the excess nutrients will be carried away by the rain or other forms of irrigation. These nutrients mix with the water and find their way into bodies of water, like ponds, lakes, reservoirs, and even the ocean sometimes. With all these nutrients added, the algae, phytoplankton, and even plants in the water do the same thing the crops in the field do. They grow. Well, actually, they explode in numbers. This is called an algal bloom, and entire lakes can become covered in layers of plant growth like this. To some, this might seem like a good thing. Plants are good for the environment, right? Well, not always. First off, this floating layer of algae forms basically an impenetrable roof on the water, not allowing sunlight through to the bottom of the lake. Without the presence of sunlight, all plants below the surface cannot partake in photosynthesis. Metabolize, make glucose, live, that sort of stuff. But not even this is the bad part of it all. Many plants can store enough energy in their bodies to wait out these conditions. The real problem comes when all the nutrients are used up and the water can no longer support so much life. When this happens, the excess algae, phytoplankton, and plants die off and sink to the bottom of the body of water. Here, bacteria and other decomposers feast on the dead bodies in a chemical process of decay which consumes oxygen. Now, in a usual ecosystem, the amount of dead matter is relatively constant, so oxygen levels stay relatively constant as well. But when a bloom occurs, far more organic matter is ready to decompose, and so nearly all the oxygen in the water is used in the process of decomposition, and none is left for the animals living in the water. Without this, animals that use the dissolved oxygen to breathe, so things like fish, can actually suffocate. This causes even more death, leading to more decomposition and more oxygen usage. Basically, at this point, a positive feedback loop has been created. It can take a body of water a very long time to recover, though each one is different, and recovery depends on a lot of things, like how many nutrients leaked into the water, how big the body of water is, what organisms are present there, and so on. When this happens in lakes, native species can be suppressed and allow invasives to come in while the environment is still disturbed. If this happens in the ocean, the lack of oxygen can cause corals to bleach and possibly even die. All around, this can greatly damage many ecosystems and leads to a decrease in biodiversity globally. Nutrient-rich runoff can also be caused by things like clear cutting, which releases the nutrients which were kept in the soil by the plants, or also by things like animal farms, where nutrient-rich waste materials can leak into local bodies of water. And that's eutrophication, simply put. I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe think twice before using fertilizer or clearing a forest. If you want more people to see this video, give it a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to this channel. I'll be back next week with another one. Thanks!
Okay, so dapat membantulah pemahaman you. Okay, so how to overcome the problems in of socio-scientific issues in forestry and agriculture sectors. Okay, first, by treating and processing agricultural waste into compost and biomass energy. Jadi kita proses dan rawat bahan-bahan buangan daripada pertanian lah, macam daun ke, batang pokok dan sebagainya, kita tukarkan menjadi kompos, iaitu sejenis baja, dan juga kita boleh jadikan dia sebagai tenaga biogesim, biomass energy. Okay, the second one is by replanting trees. Okay, there are some trees that is being cut when the forest exploration and also during the deforestation. Betul tak? Ada pokok yang telah ditebang semasa proses pembalakan dan juga semasa proses eksplorasi hutan. Okay, jadi cara dia kita akan tanam baliklah, replanting trees. And then regulate logging activities. Kita tak boleh nak stop terus pembalakan. We cannot stop the logging. Okay, jangan jawab bila dalam peperiksaan menghentikan pembalakan. Tak boleh. Sebab kita perlukan juga batang pokok dan sebagainya, contohnya untuk menghasilkan kertas and so on. So kita regulate the logging activity. Maksudnya kita buat jadual. Okay, so kita kawallah pembalakan tu. Okay, jangan ada pembalakan haram, illegal logging and so on. So kita kawallah, kerajaan patut membantu untuk mengawal pembalakan ini. And then reforestation, penghutanan semula. Mana-mana hutan yang kita dah tebang, kita jadikan kawasan pertanian ataupun dah jadikan kawasan rumah, so kita buat kawasan lain pula untuk menjadi hutan. Okay, kita reforestation, wujudkan semula hutan. Okay, next I want you to watch this video.
The planet's climate is changing. This is undeniable. Climate change presents a critical challenge for global food security. The men and women who produce our food, farmers, herders and fishers, are hit the hardest by the consequences of climate change. Farming communities need to build their resilience and ability to adapt to changing climate in a way that they can feed a growing population without further depleting our precious reserves of soil and water. This is why we need climate-smart agriculture. Climate-smart agriculture is not a new technique. It is an approach to identify production systems that can best respond to the impacts of climate change and to adjust these systems to suit local environmental conditions now and in the future. This approach can help transform agricultural systems to support sustainable development and food security in a changing climate. It's about increasing sustainably production and incomes, adapting and building resilience to the impacts of climate change, and wherever possible, reducing greenhouse gases. We can make climate-smart agriculture a reality. These are the ingredients we need. Expand the evidence base. Policymakers need to know the current and projected impacts of climate change, and just how vulnerable the agricultural communities and ecosystems really are. Improve policies. People working in many different fields, agriculture, climate change, food security, and land use, need to collaborate. Work together on supportive policies and plans, taking into account the entire landscape. Support and empower local institutions. Local institutions are needed to develop capacities and motivate men and women farmers. This way, they can adapt their practices and plan together the best way to do climate-smart agriculture. Combine financing options in a new way. We need to bring together financing sources that target agriculture and climate change. Food security depends on how we treat our planet. Let's make sure our agriculture is productive and sustainable for generations to come.
Okay, by the end of this video means our subtopic for 4.4 has ended. So kita dah tamatkan untuk subtopic 4.4. So I'll see you later in the class for the next subtopic, that is 4.5. As usual, do answer all the questions in the textbook for 4.4 and also all the questions in your buku A. So tolong jawablah semua soalan dalam latihan daripada buku teks untuk tajuk 4.4. John juga buku latihan buku A untuk tajuk 4.4. So nanti teacher jumpa you dalam kelas. Okay, thank you for attending the class. Bye.